Hello everybody, I'm Aaron Heselhurst. Welcome to the program. Of course, it's always good to have you with us. We'll talk about those French strikes shortly, but first let's talk about banks in particular. Talk about the change at the top of two of the world's biggest banks. Now, earlier this Tuesday, Barclays had confirmed that Bob Diamond will succeed the bank's current CEO, John Varley. That should take place by next March. Now, Mr. Diamond currently heads up the bank's investment arm, that's Barclays Capital, and famously received a bonus of $32 million at the height of the financial crisis. And Stephen Green, the chairman at HSBC, is expected to quit to become Trade Minister in the UK coalition government. So why the change at the top at Barclays? Well, Chris Roebuck is a visiting professor at Cass Business School. He explained a little earlier.
At this point in time, they probably feel that with what Mr. Varley's done, maybe it's time for a change. Apparently there's some personal reasons why he says he might be wanting to move on. And if you look at who's available at the present moment in time, particularly internally, Bob Diamond is the obvious candidate.
Well, he is certainly one of the highest paid bankers in the world. You know, I mean, some will say good luck to him. I mentioned his bonus during the financial crisis, but it's reported he made something like $150 million as the head of Barclays Capital. Given the controversy over bankers' salaries and bonuses, is it the right move by the bank? And what's he bring to the table, apart from being obviously a very good investment banker?
If you look at what's happening in terms of investment banking pay, if you look at what's happening in terms of the pay for people who run these banks, actually what Bob Diamond is being offered isn't that much out of line. What we have to remember is we keep thinking of Barclays as a British bank. In some sense, Barclays isn't a British bank. It's a global bank that happens to have its headquarters in London. And therefore, in terms of the role of chief executive, whoever has that role has to be paid the same as the chief executives of other banks like Morgan Stanley, like Goldman Sachs, to compete in the world market.
Let's talk, you mentioned international or global banks. HSBC, of course, extremely global. It is the global bank, if you will. Mr. Green's departure.
Yes.
Now, one would imagine, as chairman, you know, we know here in the UK, the coalition government, David Cameron, the Prime Minister, has been trying very hard to get a top-notch business person on board. Yep. They've seemed to have done it. Good for them, a coup for them. Mr. Green, what does he get out of it?
From Mr. Green's perspective, it's a move into, as we might say, the big society. This is one of the things that he's been personally very strong on, his background as a member of the Church of England, etc., etc. And also, I think he can leverage his amazing contacts in the emerging markets, in China, in Hong Kong, in India, for the benefit of the country. So in that sense, everyone's going to win.
Very, very briefly, the business people in the government, there's always been a patchy sort of record. I mean, will he succeed, do you think, just briefly?
Yes, I think given his style, given his approach and given his contacts, I think it augurs better for him than many of the others who've tried to join.
Oh, OK. Sorry about that. Let's stay with HSBC because